Now part of the Darkcast Network. Welcome to Indie Podcasts with a Dark Side. On October 25th, 2018, a 64-year-old Athena Valentini failed to show up to work. The police were called out to perform a welfare check at her Grover Beach, California condo. They arrived at 11 a.m. and discovered her body in the bedroom, slumped over on the floor and covered in, quote, a large amount of blood. They deduced that she died from a stab wound in her neck. There was no sign of a break-in, theft, or struggle. An autopsy later revealed that Athena had died from multiple stab wounds with her throat slashed, but investigators found no murder weapon at the scene. Police had their work cut out for them in finding out who did this. Welcome, lambs. Welcome to Love and Murder, Heartbreak to Homicide. I'm your host, Kai, and if you're new here, sit down, take a listen, and if you like it, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any more cases. If you're a returning lamb, thank you for your continued support. This episode is sponsored by my special lambs in Patreon, patreon.com/loveandmurder. Y'all are the reasons I'm able to keep the lights on. If you want to be a sponsor of Love and Murder and get bonuses and extras, then head on over to the Patreon. We actually have a December sale going on right now where you get 50% off your first month in there. So if you want to get my entire back catalog of bonus episodes plus future bonus episodes that's coming up, then head on over and get started in the Patreon right now. Plus, you'll be a sponsor of Love and Murder. Patreon.com/Love and Murder. Now let's get back into your episode. Born around 1954, Athena Valentini was described as helpful and kind for her entire life. Even when she was a kid, that's how they described her. Athena had a dedicated career in the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. She began working as a licensed vocational nurse in 2011 and had been working at the California Men's Colony in San Luis Obispo since 2013. I hope I said that right. Before this, Athena had worked at the California State Prison in Corcoran, still in the field of correctional health care. So it does look like she lived up to her name. She was described as helpful and kind for her entire life. Then she went into nursing, but she went into nursing in the correctional health care field. So she's still living up to her name. Colleagues remembered Athena fondly, describing her as a strong, loving, and caring individual. One coworker said, quote, "Her and I connected from the very beginning. She's a good person. She's strong, very loving, and caring." In her free time, Athena enjoyed walking her dog, which also had gone missing after she died. After getting married, Athena gave birth to a son, Levente Laszlo Lazar, in the early 1990s, and always spoke highly of him. At the time of this case, he was attending college in Bloomington, Indiana. Despite the physical distance between them, they maintained a close relationship. Shelby Holmes, who was a friend of Athena, said, quote, "They had a great relationship. They talked every day over the phone." Athena lived in a condo in Grover Beach, as well as owned and rented out another condo in Woodland Hills. On October 24th, 2018, this was just another day for Athena as she went to work and came home in the afternoon. After police found her murdered on October 25th, they blocked off the surrounding streets and interviewed coworkers, friends, and acquaintances. They also looked through surveillance footage leading up to her house. The footage showed Athena leaving her house to run errands, walking her dog, and basically returning back home. She got back home from work at around 2:39 p.m. and left again at around 3:13 p.m. At 3:26, a car was seen parking in front of her house before making a U-turn and driving away. Athena then got home like 20 minutes later at 3:41 p.m. and was last seen alive cleaning her car at 6 p.m. Most importantly, the video evidence didn't show any signs of altercations or arguments with anyone. However, even though the video evidence didn't show any signs of altercation, the most crucial evidence came from video footage showing a person matching Levente's description walking towards Athena's house at 6:34 p.m. This person appeared to be on a cell phone. At 10:51 p.m., the same person was seen leaving Athena's house, followed by her unleashed dog. Since this person strongly resembled Athena's son, police started looking into him. First, they were very surprised to find out that Levente had driven more than 2,400 miles on October 24th from his school to his mother's house. So that's 4,023.36 kilometers. Then they found out that he'd bought a prepaid Cricket cell using a different name and used a P.O. box in Cincinnati as the address. Levente's movements were tracked through his cell phone activity and surveillance footage. His burner phone interacted with cell towers along Highway 166 through Bakersfield. The day after Athena's body was discovered, Levente's online activities also raised suspicion. At 11:03 a.m. on October 25th, Levente searched Google for, quote, Homicide Grover Beach 9th Street, and, quote, Levente Lazar suspect Grover Beach, and, quote, Levente Lazar murder Grover Beach, and also, quote, Grover Beach murder. He was using a McDonald's Wi-Fi in Winslow, Arizona when he did that. So basically he's driving back to school. Going back, police also found that on October 23rd, Levente searched about topics related to murder and probate. He also searched for if a murderer can inherit from a will and how does probate work if the descendant is murdered. Now, the interesting thing is these searches were made before law enforcement even discovered Athena's body. So he's searching for Levente Lazar suspect Grover Beach and homicide Grover Beach 9th Street and Grover Beach murder and all this stuff before police even found her body. So it's like, how did you know there was a murder? Why do you think they would have been searching Levente Lazar murder or suspect Grover Beach before they even found her body and even realized it was a murder? Detectives also discovered that Levente had asked about the value of his mother's property and estate a few months before her death. You know, children like this, I don't understand. You couldn't have just asked your mom for money? Like, y'all didn't have a bad relationship. You couldn't have just said, Mom, I need some money. Instead, you decided to try and become 007 to murder your mother who gave birth to you and raised you, and money was more important to you than your mother? Ugh. Levente, who was 26 years old at the time of this case, led a life that appeared ordinary on the surface, but police actually revealed that he had a bunch of financial troubles. By October 2018, his bank account was a mere $2,200, with about $6,000 spread across 3 brokerage accounts. And this is what they said, a mere $2,200. I know some people wish they had $2,200 in their bank, but, you know, I guess if he came from a household of wealth, it was a mere $2,200. What am I going to do? It is $2,200. That's the price of my coffee. He owed $69,829 in student loans and had accumulated a $12,226.84 debt to the IRS. In an attempt to alleviate his financial issues, Levente agreed to sell an annuity he was set to receive at the age of 30. Instead of waiting for the full $236,312 payment in 2022, he opted for an immediate payout of $186,000. Clearly, this dude does not know anything about money. Dude, you just had 4 years to wait, and you would have gotten $236,000. And you opted to take out the immediate $186,000. Student loans weren't going anywhere. You could have paid the minimum of your student loans while you were waiting for your payout in 4 years. 4 years? I wish I was waiting 4 years for $236,000 to fall into my lap. You also could have just gotten a job. You could have worked for 4 years until your $236,000 came in. But you could have worked. Instead, you set your mind to taking that time that you could have been filling out job applications and shit to going down and figuring out, first of all, figuring out how to murder your mom and not get caught. Clearly, you're pretty dumb because you then searched your name and all this other stuff and was like, well, I have a burner phone. Police will never track me here. Like, you set your mind to do this and you're so horrible at it, just like you're horrible at money. You could have just gotten a job, dealt with your financial issues, even asked your mother for help. And even if she said no, she's in her complete right because she didn't help you get this debt. And you could have just been a man or been a decent human being, because whether man or woman, you could have just been a decent human being, a grown person, and dealt with your financial troubles. It is what it is. One of the most significant pieces of physical evidence was the original copy of Athena's newly drafted will and testament. Police found out that Athena had named Levente as the executor and primary beneficiary of her will. She also named him as the sole beneficiary of her retirement account. This discovery provided a strong motive for premeditated murder, suggesting that Levente had killed his mother for financial gain. Now, my thing is, your mom thought about you when she was going to die. She thought about, one day I'm going to die. Let me make sure that my precious, loving son is going to be taken care of. The money that I worked for all these years taking care of other people, let me make sure he gets it. And her bitch ass son said, nah, I can't wait that long. I'm going to make that happen now. Anyways, continuing on in the investigation, the burner phone traveled to California between October 23rd and October 24th, 2018, communicating with Athena's phone 20 times on the day of her death. Then, Levente's movements were captured on security footage from Athena's condo complex. Later on the evening of October 24th at 6:20 p.m., video shows Levente driving northbound on 9th Street about 2 blocks from Athena's house. In November 2018, Levente, thinking that he's smarter than the average bear, voluntarily came to the Bloomington police station. He waived his Miranda rights and spoke with investigator Casey Neal. So he basically went in there trying to look like he's cooperating with investigators. And he's like, I'm innocent, so I don't need my Miranda rights. Issue 1 and issue 2. You think you're so smart, but you actually know nothing. Which clearly we know if you decided that the answer to all your financial issues was to murder your mom. So clearly we know that you're not all there. And I don't mean mental health wise. I mean, you're stupid. During the interview, Levente gave Neal permission to search his Galaxy phone. Yes, you can search my phone. You'll find nothing on there because he doesn't know that I had a burner phone. So he said, you can search my Galaxy phone, you can search my apartment, and you can search my financial records. So he gave Neal the password to all of his electronic devices. Initially, Levente denied that he'd been to California since January 2018. He said that was the last time he had seen his mother. He said he had remained within 100 miles of Bloomington since then, and that the last conversation he'd had with Athena was a 2-minute phone call on October 22nd. I'm gonna let you know right now, you just gave way too much information, sir, because I talk to my mom often, and I can't even tell you how freaking long I stayed on the phone with her the last time I talked to her, which was probably like yesterday. It wasn't yesterday, but it was just a couple days ago, and I don't remember exactly how long I stayed on the phone with her. And if police pulled me over right now to ask me, when's the last time you talked to your mom? I'd be like, I'm not going to remember. October 22nd for 2 minutes, exactly 2 minutes. I was eating a donut at the time when she called and the sun was shining in the west about to. I'm not going to remember all those details. You remembered a little bit too much, sir. So when police said, okay, you don't have any other phone other than this Galaxy, he said, no, I don't. They said, oh, that's very interesting. We found this Cricket phone. And he was like, no, I never bought a Cricket phone. And they said, okay. So if we went through your search history, there'd be nothing murdery in there? And he was like, no, why would I search anything murder related? You can go through my internet browsing history. So he keeps talking to the police, and he talks about how he trained his mother's dog to follow him or follow his mom without a leash because I'm such a great son. But he said the dog would also listen to other people that it knew. Levente also told Neal that he'd recently completed a master's degree in history and that he was employed by Walt Disney Publishing. He said that he was a stock trader and had accounts with 2 brokerage houses. He said he had $100,000 or more in his brokerage accounts and $7,000 to $8,000 in his bank account. He also said he had an annuity that would pay $236,000 in 4 years when he turned 30. Little did he know that police already knew what was going on, and they're just staring at him while he's lying his ass off. But he said he wanted to sell his annuity now because he wanted to make a down payment on a house for himself and his girlfriend. And he continued to deny that he traveled to California. He continued to deny that he killed his mother. And he said he had no motive in killing his mother. Why would I do that? Clearly I have enough money and I love my mom. She's a great woman. Why would I kill her? So after Neil finished listening to his blubbering, he said, okay, well, here's this cricket phone. And we tracked it from your place in Indiana all the way down to your mom's house. Also, you said you had $7,000 to $8,000 in your bank account, but sir, I don't know if you can't see or you can't read or you're just plain old stupid. But I see here, and he pushes like the bank account. This is what I'm thinking in my head, because this is what I would do. And he slowly pushes the bank account statement in front of him. I see here that you have $2,200 in your bank account. Then you said you had $100,000 or more, not less, in your brokerage accounts. But I see here that you have about $6,000, sir, spread across 3 brokerage accounts. Your name is Levente Lazar, yes? So then Levente started, admitted some things. So when they said, here's the cricket phone, he said, oh, that cell phone. You asked me if I had another cell phone, but you didn't ask me if I had a cricket phone. You know, there's the distinction there. Cell phones, cricket phone. I didn't know. Yeah. I did get a cricket phone. And then they said, okay, well, we see that you traveled to California. Oh, that California. Yeah, when you said California, I heard like California, Florida, and I've never been to that city, California, Florida. I also thought that you were talking about California, England, and I've never been to California, England, but you're talking about California on the West Coast. Oh, yeah. I did drive to that California. You gotta be specific, officer, when you say these things, because I didn't understand what you were saying. He said, yeah, I did go to that California on the West Coast of the United States. But I went because I wanted to buy some marijuana legally because, over here you can't do it, but I did want to go over there and get some marijuana, So I did go to California and I stopped in Los Angeles to buy the marijuana, and then I forgot, I said I hadn't seen my mom in a while, but I did stop to make a surprise visit to her. It's all coming back to me now. And it's all coming back to me now. I did stop by my mom. It was just a surprise visit. I just completely forgot about it because of the stress of everything that was going on. I completely forgot. I remembered that I talked to her for 2 minutes on October 22nd, but I completely forgot about all of this because of the stress of what's going on. You have to understand, officer, I am so stressed out. I did visit my mom because I wanted to get this ring from her because I wanted to give it to my girlfriend because I'm a douchebag and I want to give her a promise ring because I'm 5. So he said, yeah, I did go to her house to get that promise ring. And this was the 24th, but she wasn't there. So I didn't see her. I did call her cell phone, but she didn't answer. And I just figured she was at work. So I went by her house and then just went back to Indiana without seeing her because I had to get back there. I had other plans. And they said, well, why didn't you just, cancel your plans and stay with your mom? And he said, no, because she would have tried to talk me into staying for a week. And I didn't have time for that right now. And they said, okay, so why did you lie about not traveling to California? And he said, well, to be honest, I was really worried about that because I did purchase marijuana and I think transporting it across state lines is a federal crime. So I didn't want to tell y'all about that. And then when investigators reminded him that he has a balance of $2,200 and not $6,000 to $8,000 like he said, and a student loan of $69,829, he was like, well, yeah, on my student loan, I'm paying $14.84 a month on that. And they said, okay, you owe the IRS $12,000. And he was like, yeah. And then he goes, well, at the time of your mom's death, she was worth about $493,412. And then also with her 2 condos and her retirement, interestingly, that all goes to you. What do you have to say about that? And he said, in my head, this is what happened. And he said, yeah, he didn't really say that, but I mean, what can you say? What are you going to say? Yeah, I lied about every freaking thing I told you, and I didn't know that you had all that information, so now I'm pissing myself. So in my head, he just sat there like, So he was arrested. His trial started on October 2nd, 2019, and lasted 3 weeks. Jurors were presented with electronic and physical evidence, including Levente's internet search histories, surveillance footage, and the discovery of his mother's will that had been in his possession. Levente, being the genius that he is, testified on his own behalf, admitted that he had lied to investigator Neal. He claimed he had lied about not going to California because, about the weed transporting across state lines, blah, blah, blah. He also denied being the person that they saw in the video walking towards his mother's condo. Then he went on to describe several ways in which he claimed the individual in the footage differed from him. If you can see, Your Honor, he has auburn hair. I mean, I have auburn hair, but my auburn is a couple shades darker than his dark auburn hair. If you can see, Your Honor, he has a mustache. Clearly, my face is clean today. It's like, what? These are things I'm just saying in my head. In the reports, it just said he just described several ways that the individual is different from him. The prosecution presented a compelling case against Levente, which I could have presented a compelling case against Levente. They alleged that they said that Levente killed his mother to speed up his inheritance and liquidate her assets to pay off debt and tax liens before he planned to get married, which then part of that money would probably go to his wedding too. The district attorney's office showcased electronic and physical evidence demonstrating Levente's 4,400-mile round trip from Bloomington to Grover Beach, which just happened to coincide with the date of Athena's stabbing. They also revealed cell phone records showing Levente's burner phone interacting with towers along the route across the country and calling his mother 20 times. They also showed all online searches Levente made about the murder and the inheritance, and brought up that the searches that he'd made for news article naming him as the suspect was before her body had even been discovered. Surveillance footage and street cameras were presented showing Levente driving up to Athena's Grover Beach condo and later walking away from her residence trailed by the dog, which still was never found. They also told the jury that Athena's will, which named Levente as the beneficiary, was discovered in his Indiana home. So, what can you say? My thing is, maybe he can say, that wasn't me in the video. Okay. The dog follows other people they know, so it could have been somebody else that my mom knew that went in there and murdered her. Okay. I don't know what you could say about the burner phone. Why did you buy the burner phone, and why did you call your mom 20 times and then lied to the police that you didn't call her the last time you called her was October 22nd, he said. I don't know how you can come back from that one. But to me, the most damning piece of evidence was the online searches you made before your mother's body was even found. How in the frick would you explain those away? That's, to me, if I was on the jury, that would be my most damning piece of evidence. Because everything else could possibly be explained away. The burner phone cannot. The complete lying, even though you tried to explain it as, I can understand the traveling across state lines. Okay, you could explain that away. But the burner phone, why'd you have to buy that? Lying about your bank account finances, which I guess your thing would be, well, I didn't want to be a suspect. But then again, if you had just told the truth, you're just broke. Okay. But the number one is the search history. Who searches for that shit before you even know your mom was dead? You know? And then the second thing is the burner phone. As a juror, you're guilty already to me. Just from that evidence, you're guilty to me. The defense's strategy primarily relied on Levente's testimony, which, I mean, they just was like, oh, at least I'm just getting paid because I ain't gonna win this. As the only witness for the defense, the only witness, he told the jury that he went out to California to get the weed, like I said, and to get the ring from for his girlfriend, neither of which, by the way, were found or gotten or evidence that anything. And then he also insinuated that maybe his mother was killed by a past boyfriend or past husband. And it's like, yeah, your mom has many husbands or boyfriends that resemble you? Really? Meaning the person they saw in the security footage, which looked exactly like Levente. He then claimed that in mid-October, he had started talking to his mother about making the trip from Indiana to California. And, oh, here it goes. This is how he talked away the cell phone. He said he bought a burner phone to prevent his girlfriend from finding out. I mean, you could have just deleted your phone history or whatever to prevent your girlfriend from finding out. It's not going to stop the cops from finding out, but you could have done that to stop your girlfriend from finding out. So that's a bullshit, lame excuse. He also testified that he had recently lost a significant portion of his inheritance between $40,000 and $50,000, and that his mother was the only one who knew about this financial setback. He stated that he discussed this loss at length with her because she was, quote, financially astute and she saved all her money. Yeah, that's not making you look any better, Levente. So the jury basically agrees with me because despite his attempts to explain his actions, they found the evidence against him overwhelming, and on October 21st, 2019, he was found guilty of first-degree murder with enhancements for using a deadly weapon and committing the crime of financial gain. On December 11th, 2019, Levente was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. San Luis Obispo District Attorney Dan Doe stated, quote, while no amount of punishment will bring our victim Athena Valentini back, a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole is a just outcome for this senseless murder. And Levente is currently serving out his sentence at the California Medical Facility in Vacaville, California. What do y'all think about that case? This entitled, spoiled man-child murdered his mom because of money. And it wasn't, how long do you think that amount of money was going to last, sir? You murdered your mom for money that might last you with your financially unsavvy ass maybe about a couple years. Maybe about a couple years. Or maybe you would try and make it last 4 years until you got your other inheritance money, but then that would have lasted, another 4 years, and then you would have been broke. And then what would you have done? Because if you asked your mom for help, even if she didn't help you, you would have still had somebody in your corner for the rest of your life. Now, Max, if you had gotten away with it, which you're too stupid, but if you had gotten away with it, you would have max had a security nest for like 8 years. I know you wouldn't have been financially savvy enough to effectively carry on those rentals. You probably, in all your stupidity, would have sold both of those condos thinking of the now and not the long term, because clearly that's how you think. You thought, let me murder my mom now to get the money now, instead of thinking of long term. I love my mother. She'll always be there for me. She'll always be there to help me long term. For everything that she's done for me, I could do back for her, get a job, whatever, long term. You're thinking in the now. So I know you would have sold those 2 condos because you would have thought about the money now. Then you would have blown through that money. And then what? Then what? Were you going to try and marry a woman with money? You would have left the woman that you're with if she doesn't have money. I don't know anything about her. But if she didn't have money, you would have left the woman you're with and try and find you a woman that has money and then murdered her and then on the cycle? What was your plan for life, sir? And you said you had a job. Get a freaking better job. Get a second job. Work OT. There's so many other options, but you decided your only course of action was to murder your mom and then come up with the most asinine lies. You had an excuse for everything. What was your excuse for searching those things before even the police knew there was a murder? This is my question to you. I want to know what your answers to that was. He probably would have said something like the police planted it or some crap like that. Because there's no coming out of that. There's no way you could explain that away. And I'm telling you right now, I bet you he still maintains his innocence and says it was one of her husbands or her boyfriends. It just so happened to coincide with the fact that she changed everything in his name and later, like a couple months later, she's found murdered. Just a happy coincidence. And when she's found murdered on your way back from doing it before anybody even knew you're doing these searches and you're calling a brokerage account or whoever to find out the terms of her will. It all just was happenstance and you are innocent and in the wrong place at the wrong time. You complete, utter garbage pan full of trash of a human for murdering your mom when all she was doing was thinking about you. Anyways, you know my thoughts on the case. I now want to hear your thoughts on the case. What do y'all think about this case? And right now, just a little update. I am prepping to have the last 2 weeks in December off, like I told y'all. So I'm really scrambling to get episodes together and pre-recorded and posted and everything like that. So I'm really, really, really busy on the back end. So I did say I was going to get back to your comments this week, but actually I'm going to get back to your comments when we come back for season 5 in January. So I hope y'all are okay with that, but I'm not trying to, cause y'all have to understand, I have to gather your comments from all over the net, put it in one place, mark it for the days that it comes out, everything like that. So that's a whole other job in itself. And as you know, I haven't had the best of luck in finding people to hire who actually want to do the work. And I'm completely done with that because that takes up time in itself. So it's just me doing this. So I would just ask if y'all are patient with me. I am going to go back to reading your comments. So don't stop sending in your comments. But, because I'm really, really busy in prepping to at least take 2 weeks off in December without y'all losing your episodes that are coming out, I'm going to take that time, put it into getting great episodes together. And then while I'm on my quote vacation, I'm going to be gathering your comments and doing all that stuff. So I hope I explained this correctly. I'm not stopping the portion where I read your comments. It's just on pause for the rest of December and it will start again in January. So please be patient with me. And also please don't stop sending in your comments. You can comment below any episode on whatever platform you're on and let me know what your thoughts are on those episodes. Don't forget, I have a huge back catalog of episodes. If you're new here, you can always go through that back catalog. If you're not new here and you want more episodes to listen to, I have a huge back catalog of bonuses in the Patreon, patreon.com/love and murder, which we do have a sale going on in December right now where you get half off the first month. So come on in. You want to listen to more episodes? I have a huge back catalog there. If you go through the back catalog of Love and Murder, you'll hear the evolution of the podcast, how I started out with a co-host, how cringy it was back then, how then the co-host left and then it was just me. Then I got another co-host. And then that fell off and it became what it is today. But I think what it is today is better than what it was in the past. So we all go through stuff for a reason. And I think Love and Murder is better for the evolution that it did go through. It helped me find my voice. It helped us get together. And here we are today. So I'm very thankful for the evolution that Love and Murder went through, even though when I listened to my past episodes, it was so cringy. Oh my God. So either way, all that to say that your comments will come back in January. So I was in the middle of saying that you could leave your thoughts in the comments below on whatever platform you're on. Let me know what you think about this episode. It will get read out in season 5. Also, you can just record your comments on your phone and then email it to me, noconductradio@gmail.com, or you can go to the website, murderandlove.com, and hit that SOS button. I think with the SOS, though, you only have 30 seconds to record your comment. So either way, those are 3 ways that you can get your comments to me. If you do send in either voice message with the email or the SOS, that will be played so you can hear your voice on the podcast. If you send in your written comment, I will just read it out. So let me know your thoughts on this Levente Lazar murder case. Let me know if you were in the jury. What is the exact evidence that would have made you find him guilty or not guilty? I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below. And that is all I have for you today. And as we end each full episode, I want to remind you that it's, say it with me now, all love and no murder, y'all. See you in the next episode. Bye.